Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Tesla Life number 219.
Yes.
Man, getting close to 220. That's next week.
220.
Yeah, exactly. It is, what is today? We're sitting in September. It's the 8th of September, 2021. Welcome to the show. And you may notice that we're missing one. Patrick has not been able to join us tonight, but he'll be back next week.
Our boxes are bigger.
Yeah.
I feel so much more roomy.
Lots of room to roam around. Exactly. But with me, as always, Mr. Casey Green joins us from the D.C. area. How are you today, sir?
A little bit warm. For some reason, it's hot in here today.
Wow.
Only 81 outside, so I don't understand it.
So you've got the heat on in the house and you forgot about it.
No, the air is running right now. It just can't keep up over 82.
Oh my goodness, that is not good. That is not good. But are you getting humidity in the DC area, or
yes,
you are? Okay,
yes.
Yeah,
it's nice outside though.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've got the best weather I have seen in quite some time. It's hovering around 70, 78, 76, somewhere in that area.
Oh,
it's
nice.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
No humidity. It's wonderful. So knock on wood.
Our friends in the Gulf don't have it so nicely. They're about to get another one.
No, that's Storm Central now, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's going to go from Gulf over Florida rather than over Florida into the Gulf.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
In Ida, did you see any remnants of Ida when it got to you?
We did. Okay. We got a lot of rain. Our basement got some water in it because the sump pump ended up filled with leaves. Didn't realize that. Yeah.
That's not good to find out.
No. At least it wasn't worse. Yeah, exactly. I told my wife, I was like, "Hey, let's go check that," and she's like, "Oh, I just cleaned it. It'll be fine." And no.
A word to warning anyone else: check the sub pump before the storm hits. Yes. Exactly. Well, let's leave the sub pump behind and let's talk a little bit of Tesla news. And of course, the week never stops. We've always got news going on. But this week, we're going to talk a little bit about timelines for the first couple stories. And with that, some bad news, depending on your order situation with Tesla. We know that they've been selling out other vehicles, but some news announcements were made about the upcoming models. First off, the next Gen Roadster has been pushed from 2022 into 2023. And this was Elon.
2019 to 2023.
Well, 2017, really. It was debuted in 2017. So now it's being pushed to 2023. We've had starts and stops with this, but I think we've got some information about, or some speculation as to why the pushback, but we'll get into that later. The story that it has been pushed, of course, this is a low volume car. This is not going to be one that's going to affect Tesla's bottom line. This is a car that's a halo car. It is something that, a limited amount of people are going to be purchasing or have purchased. And that's the other thing. Some people have put down sizable deposits on this car just to see it be moved a year at a time out of when they thought it was going to happen.
$250,000 deposits.
So we've got, I got to believe, well, I don't know. I don't have $250,000 to spend on a car. Nor do I see that happening in the foreseeable future. But if you had that kind of money tied up in a deposit and the car has now been delayed 2 years in a row, you might be asking for your money back because you could probably make that $250,000 work for you in other ways instead of in Tesla's free loan account. Yeah.
Is that a refundable deposit?
Oh. Good question. I assumed it was, but
I know for the cheaper cars it is, but it felt to me the same way that the initial Model S's and first batch of Model X's felt. like where you don't get your money back if you cancel.
Well, if it is non-refundable, then of course that tells the story right there. But if it is refundable, I was wondering if a number of people have already asked for their money back. Out there in the chat room, let us know what you know about that. Is it refundable, or is it something that is locked down?
Yeah,
I'll have to check on that.
There's one major reason for not doing it, aside from all the others we're going to discuss later. It's basically their advertising budget. So, you don't want to be having something out there that's going to sell more cars when you can't make enough as it is.
Yeah, that's true. You don't want to add to demand that you can't fulfill already. Absolutely, that's business 101. You shouldn't be doing that. But I think there's a couple other things involved, and we'll get to that in a moment. But second half of the story is, of course, a high-volume vehicle that we believe will be a high-volume vehicle, which is the CyberTruck.
That's right.
Now, the CyberTruck Saga has been modified over the time as well. We had initially believed that with the build-out of GigaFactory Texas, that we would get maybe a few models rolling off the line when it got to the end of this current year. And then we thought there would be some sort of a ramp up, and maybe in another year they'd be up to, a sizable amount. We didn't certainly expect them to come out with a great amount in this year at all, because, of course, it's a brand new vehicle. It's a brand new way of putting them together. It's all new to Tesla. And, of course, they haven't quite got the origami machines figured out yet. So folding that stainless steel into a Cybertruck body is going to be a heck of a trick, I believe.
Absolutely.
But what has happened is we started to see some cracks in the wall when Elon started to mention that first of all, a few weeks ago or a couple months ago, he had mentioned, you realize that, Model Y is the number one priority for Texas. So that was an early hint. And then we got into a conversation where they talked a little bit about hardware 4 coming for Tesla. Mm-hmm. And they had indicated that Elon indicated that Cybertruck would be the first to use hardware 4. So then we started to think, okay, there's no hardware 4 yet. How are they going to get them in the Cybertruck and roll them out if hardware 4 maybe takes different cameras or takes other pieces of the puzzle that are a little bit different that you may not be able to update after you roll the car out?
Yeah.
And then a couple weeks after that,
at least not economically.
Yeah. And then a couple weeks after that, Elon basically came out flat and said, it's going to be another year. It's going to push this car late into 2022.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, the 1 million+ orders out there that we believe are there, you're not going to be seeing probably any vehicle until late in 2022. So basically a year from now is when we hope now to start seeing the first cars, the first trucks start rolling off the assembly line at Giga Texas.
And we got hints about this even before Elon said anything. He's always said Model Y is going to be the best-selling car. And then if you were one of the more recent reservationists for the Cybertruck, it was actually saying at the bottom, you're not going to see your truck till 2023. And
right.
Orders start 2022, and then blah, blah, 2023 is what yours is going to be, is essentially what it boiled down to. And so Elon just really confirmed that.
And that's disappointing, obviously. People that are waiting for the truck, Casey, you've got one in order. I'm sure you would like to see it sooner rather than later.
I'm in no rush.
Casey's still building out the size of his driveway. He's got to have room for all of the vehicles. So
I'm still working on payments on the last one. When I initially ordered it, he said that my truck would be at the back of the line. I'm like, oh, sweet. That would be 1 month left of payments on the current car, and then it would be mine. And then I could start on the next one. And then he's like, oh, yeah, no, we moved it to the front. And I was like, oh, crap.
No, I don't want it at the front. I want it at the back, damn it.
Yes. How am I going to make 2 Tesla payments?
Yeah. So that's the unfortunate news. We've got the supercar and we've got the Supertruck both being moved back, and people with reservations are just going to have to wait. Now, I think it hasn't been stated this way, but looking at what's been happening and also rolling in what happened to the Plaid Plus and how it was cut from the development table.
Yeah.
I'm thinking this whole or a lot of this issue is due to the 4680 battery.
I agree. Well, the 4680 with the high nickel.
I think there's an issue that again, Tesla's not quite up to speed with the reliability of the 4680 from their Kato factory. They don't believe that they've got the formula completely dialed in yet. They're having to modify it a little bit more. I know they're going to get there. That's not an issue that I'm thinking there's going to be. What I'm thinking it is just incremental changes to the battery chemistry or the form factor or whatever to make this a reliable battery that Tesla needs to have in order to start putting it into hundreds of thousands, if not a million cars. So this is something that I believe Tesla has to get correct. There can't be, this is a real imperative thing that these batteries have to be locked down perfect in order for them to start rolling them out in large manufacturing capacity.
I'm hearing that they're getting like 80% successful production. So to do mass production on this Tesla scale, you're going to need over 95% good products coming off the end of the assembly line.
Right. There was a story talking about 70 to 80% of they believed was on par. But that's you're right. That 20 or 30% is still a high percentage of the batteries that aren't making the top grade, and they would have to be recycled and start over again. And you would not want to have a process that you're having to basically burn 20 or 30% back in, even though they get recycled and they start over again. You still would need more than that. And I think you're right. 95% is probably what they're aiming for.
Yeah, because if you build 100 cars and 100 battery packs, then you got to throw away 20 to 30 battery packs. It's not good.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
So that's my speculation is that, and that of course, the early indication of that was the Model S Plaid Plus. That
Plaid
car
Plus
was going to have a huge mileage figure. It was going to be 600 plus miles. It was going to be the fastest production car, even though the Plaid actually did do that. It was going to be a step above it. So, and that car was going to house those 4680s. There's no doubt in my mind. And
I suspect that we'll see before the Cybertruck or the Semi, whichever one they think is going to be the first one with actual 4680s, because we know that the Model Y is probably still going to be 2160s, 2170s. Out of Texas. I suspect what we'll see is a Model S Plaid long range before either one of these cars actually, or the truck actually hits the trial production. That way they can, because we've seen this before. Tesla loves to try stuff out in the existing cars before the new car actually hits with new computers.
Yeah. So delaying the Roadster and of course the Cybertruck just kind of plays into this. That gives them that extra runway for them to get that battery technology, that new battery technology, completely dialed in to the way they want it to be, or as close to that as possible. So that, I believe, is the center part of all these delays. And that's unfortunate. On battery day, they wanted to be dialed in earlier, obviously. But we started to see the cracks in the wall when they were saying, "Oh well, the Model Y is produced in Berlin and Texas. We'll, if we have to, we'll put the 2170s in." And it was like, okay, now that's pointing at not getting the 4680s dialed in at that point. So that's where we believe this is headed. So,
and not just the batteries either. Like somebody had asked Elon why don't they come out with the Model Next or some other question like that, and he said it doesn't matter how many cars we announce if we can announce 17, but if we can't build any of them, why does it matter what we announce?
right, and really you're wasting your PR on something that will not happen. So I would keep your powder dry and wait for the point where you could start to make it. So
especially when you're not buying ads. I mean, you depend on people saying, "Hey, look at the new Tesla. You can get it next week or next month." Yeah.
Yeah, or it's just been unveiled and you have a year wait, and knowing you have that year, people start to plan. So it's and again, that's another part of this that was announced this week as well, that the Model Next is being pushed back, or we believe is being slated for 2023. So that's going to be a big year. We've got a lot of we've got 3 vehicles, actually, I guess it'd be 4, because the Semi is of course pushed into 2022, 2023 as well. So
I think the thing helping them out with the Semi is that all of their customers for the Semi are in the same boat where they are also having trouble getting everything they need to do business at the volume they want. So it's like, we really want this truck, but we understand that they don't exist.
and again, that truck requires the 4680s to make it profitable. Like it just does. You need the bigger battery. You need the longer range. All that has to roll in. So Tesla's hopes are all pinned on the 4680. So we will see as time goes along what those developments are. But mark my words, as that 4680 does get locked down, it's going to open the floodgates. So as Tesla, of course, waits to get the 4680 locked down, they've already reached out to others, like we've said last week. They've already talked to other companies, Cattle, Panasonic, who else? Samsung. They're all reaching out to them and saying, we're going to need some partners to manufacture this 4680. We want you to be ready and dialed in so that once the formula's set, all we have to do is send you the formula and we can start pumping those batteries out. So
everybody's talking about they can make the 4680 CAN. Everybody's talking about how they can do the lithium iron phosphate. You've even got Chinese companies basically putting out press releases and specs and trying to show that they can do the 4680s too. Hey, pick me. And we've seen already that they'll buy every cell they can get that's priced reasonably, to the point where we've got Model Ys out there now with a different battery pack than all the others, and folks are saying, hey, when can I get the same supercharging speed as the Panasonic packs?
Yeah.
But you got your car. You don't have to wait for it anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we will see, but the 4680, I believe, is the log jam, and as soon as they can get that dialed in, there's going to be a flood of new cars and those new models hitting the market.
Absolutely.
Next, Casey's got a story about our favorite button. What's going on with that?
So allegedly on Friday, the beta tester crew is going to get beta 10.2, 10.0? 10.0. Either way, they're going to get the new update, and they're going to enjoy it, and it's going to be magical, according to Elon. It's going to make what we've seen so far, which already looks pretty impressive. It's going to make it look like child's play. And then, in 2 weeks, normal folks like all of us will be able to push the button in the U.S. in our cars, and then hopefully we also get to experience that magic. But we'll see.
Yeah, this is not new.
I'm not holding my breath.
Yeah, we have heard 2 weeks quite a few times. I would not hold your breath, but it does look like there's progress being made. They are releasing updates again to the beta testers, and that is showing progress. So we'll have to see if version 10 is the one that's going to push this forward, as Elon has said.
Hopefully. My car just downloaded a update that has nothing in it for me, so that was fun.
That's great.
Yeah.
So you read through the notes and go, doesn't apply.
Exactly.
Doesn't apply.
So they turned on more of the face tracking features to make sure that you're not on your phone and then a bunch of stuff with the new Model S. And I don't have a new Model S, and I don't have a camera inside my car that Tesla knows how to use. So
Curious.
It made my deep dive a little easier.
They say there's going to be audible warnings if it's watching your face and you're not doing something. Is that correct?
Yeah, the same one as if you skipped a couple of the hands-on wheel flashes. It'll just go straight to the beeping.
Okay.
Yeah.
So probably it will show you think it'll show a different graphic on the screen, or do you think it'll be just the same where it's like flashing in blue that you should?
For Tesla Raj, it was the same, but I have a feeling that, when they do the new UI, they may have a stop looking at your phone, num-num.
Or a big set of googly eyes show up on the screen.
Here to there. Here to there. Even better if they take the eyes emoji and then they animate those to looking at the road.
That's right. Yeah, just look over to the side. Look over to the side. It's like, we catch you. We know what you're doing.
Yes,
we know.
So Raj tried looking straight ahead and not touching the wheel, and he got the same normal delay, about 30 seconds before it said, "Hey, touch the wheel." But when he was on the phone, or when the car thought he was on the phone, it was anywhere from 10 to 15 seconds. It was like, "Hey, that's done."
Yeah. So it is watching your eyes or the position of your head or a combination of both.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, next story, Casey, is about the lack of pedals or steering wheel. What's that about?
Yes. So another prompt from Elon about the magicalness of the next update is he feels that for Model Next, they may sell it without pedals and a steering wheel. And he didn't say anything about the price increasing. So now speculation is, do you have a fancy lawn ornament if you don't give them $200 a month or whatever the current price is for the subscription or purchase? Or does that mean that it's really a $10,000 car that includes full self-driving?
Yeah. That is, or there's a third option. And I think the third option would be Elon is projecting this a little quicker than it's actually going to happen.
There's always that.
So Elon's timetable is not synced up with reality and what's going on in the marketplace. Because, again, as mentioned earlier, 2023 is what they're thinking for the Model Next production, which is 2 years from now. So do you think the regulators and everything is going to be fixed up for the Model Next?
They'd have to get full approval for all the existing cars on the road today. And then they'd have to get approval for a car with no backup.
Yep.
Because it doesn't make sense to build this car twice. Because if you build it so that it can be controlled, you're going to have to, put holes in the firewall for the steering, unless it's steer by wire. You're going to put holes in for the brakes and that sort of thing. And then you have to make another one where they're all gone, unless you make two different... what do they call the piece in front of the firewall where everything is mounted to? Which adds to the cost if you're making now two different models of the car. Actually, three, because then you've got the left hand.
I would suggest this is the PR machine that Elon knows so well that he knows is going to get a lot of views and a lot of clicks and a lot of people writing stories and talking about it on YouTube. So it's free PR. I think that I hope
he's not playing them like that.
I believe it is. I think it's something that he knows that this type of thing happens. Now, I'm not doubting that this is Elon's vision. This is where he wants to go. I'm just saying that he is typically in front of the timeline.
Yes.
And I think this is no exception to that. I think he is in front of this timeline. He's telling the public where he believes he wants it to go. He's telling us that eventually cars will not have steering wheels and they will not have pedals. But I think the Model Next, if it actually is produced in 2023, will definitely have pedals and a steering wheel. And as you mentioned, they'll just build it into the design where they'll say, you know what, 3 years, 5 years, 8 years, we know we're going to be removing them. So let's keep that in mind when we design the wheels and the steering wheels and pedals inside this car. And
if they do it right, it can be done. It's just going to be that much more difficult. Because he's already talked about removing the wheel and putting in a cap in Model 3 and Model Y.
Yeah.
But he didn't say anything about the brake and the go pedal. Because the lightning pedal, you can just stop listening to it, but the brake pedal on the current cars is a physical connected control that goes through the brake booster, and even if the brake booster is down and you push on it hard enough, it will make hydraulic fluid move and make the brakes go clampity.
Yeah, and push the physical brakes to actually do something. Definitely.
Yeah.
So there's that story, but I think the wheel's coming. I'm pretty sure. And as I mentioned previously, that's a car I'll be looking at getting. And if it doesn't come with a pedal or steering wheel, I'm not interested.
Well, then you get two, and you keep one for you, and then have one in the network, and then hire a pool boy to wash it out for you every time it goes on a ride.
Maybe I'm in the minority, but I love driving my Model 3. I love controlling it. I love pressing on the lightning pedal. Yeah. I love the acceleration. I love hugging corners and curves in that car. It is exhilarating. I love to drive that car. And if they take that option away in a future car, I might be old school, but I'm not interested in it. Just not.
There you go. So I'm picturing this because right now I do thoroughly enjoy driving my car, but there are plenty of times where it's a chore. So I don't know. I'd want one with no pedals, but something like Minority Report, something where the steering wheel comes out. Yeah, I'd be all over that.
Yeah.
Assuming that when it's out, it's fun to drive still. Because if it folds out, it's like a limp piece of plastic. And nothing.
Exactly. So that's going to be interesting. But I think this is more PR. I think this is just to get people talking, and it certainly works. There's no doubt of that people are quick to jump on something like that and talk about it, till to nauseum's end. No doubt that that will get people alerted and up in arms or happy or both, or the variety of responses are all over the board.
Yeah, probably in about 3 more months, assuming we don't hear anything more about it at the shareholder meeting. We'll probably get another little tidbit just to get us talking about it for a little while longer.
Yep, I think so. Next story. It looks like Giga Nevada has hit a new milestone. So we've got this photo to share. Let's try that. Keep getting this warning.
Me too. I
sharing, and it's like I know it. I've been doing it for half a year. I know exactly. Here we go.
There we go.
So we've got the 1 millionth pack has been created or delivered from GigaFactory Nevada, and looks like there was a bit of a signature party, and the people working on the lines have signed, and 1 million packs. That is a fantastic.
Is it me or is he?
So
yeah. So I suggested on Sunday's show, that perhaps they take this, mount it to the 1 millionth Model 3 or Model Y that's sitting out. It's the 1 millionth Tesla, but it's a Model 3 or Model Y. I suggested mounting it to that car that's sitting at Giga Nevada right now, and then putting that battery in a real car.
Yeah.
Because they let the millionth car and the millionth pack, they didn't have to come together. And so now you have a usable battery pack when batteries are short.
Use up
practical.
Every possible battery. Because, of course, end of the quarter's coming. So let's get that battery shipped into a vehicle and move it on.
Yes.
You know what, Casey? That battery with all the signatures on it is probably empty. There's probably no batteries in it.
I hope not. That means that they're pulling our chain.
They'll hang that one on a wall somewhere inside the factory and use the batteries into 1,000,001. So
I see what you're saying. They built it and then they gutted the shell.
Yeah,
I could see them doing that.
Yeah. So great milestone, and we look forward to much more. And of course, as those 4680 start coming online, that million's going to seem like an awfully low figure, I believe, as we start to roll this out into more and more vehicles.
So roughly 78 million kilowatt hours.
That
Roughly.
is a ton. A ton. Metric ton. Another battery story. The German government has been dangling a subsidy that they've announced quite a while ago, but they have offered to the auto industry the ability to take in a subsidy for the building of a battery plant inside Germany. And of course, we know Tesla started out GigaFactory Berlin without a battery plant and added a battery plant to the plans a month and a half into construction. So Tesla has been actively building this actual battery plant, which is on site of the current GigaFactory that's being built. It's a separate building. But we believe that this has been done in a certain way. We thought maybe because of permitting issues with Germany being so anal about how it's being built and what's being built and what the actual, I guess the instructions of and the timelines. But with this announcement, Tesla's looking at possibly receiving over $1 billion in subsidies is what's up for grabs. Now, that's not indicating that Tesla will get that 1.14 billion, but it is indicating that that's a possibility based on the outline of what the German government has been offering. And just recently, in fact, today, if you're following our Twitter feed at the Tesla Life, you would have seen this. But the German government has indicated that Tesla does qualify for some of the subsidy money for the battery building factory. They just haven't indicated what the amount is. So they're at least over the first hurdle that, yes, you qualify for what you're doing in Germany now. And the amount has not been disclosed at this point.
Yeah. So that dry electrode technology is really going to help them with the astroturfers and their concerns about water usage, because if you're not using water to make your cells, it keeps you on this side of their good side.
Exactly. So less water. And of course, without the water, as we know, a big plus with the 4680 is that no drying time required. No dryers required that burn electricity to heat the air and dry those electrodes faster. So all that stuff just goes away. So the best
faster
part,
and less power consumption.
The best part is no part if you can do it.
Right.
So this is what happens if you can remove and use some of that Maxwell technology that we heard about so much when Tesla bought the Maxwell company about dry electrodes. So
the only part they kept.
Exactly. So Casey's got our next story, and it's about some superchargers.
Yes. So the Supercharger factory for where was that? China?
Yep.
Yes, has been completed, and so now, in addition to Giga New York, Giga Shanghai is also building superchargers, which is fine because you don't want to be shipping stuff over the ocean if you can help it. Keep them local, and then you've also got backup now. So now they can build more superchargers for the U.S. U.S. can build more for them. If something happens, then you've still got the ability to make superchargers, and it's only going to make V3 superchargers, and it's supposed to do about 10,000 superchargers a year, which is incredible.
10,000 a year. So what are we sitting at? About we're getting close to 3,000 supercharger sites, I believe. We're like 2925 or 2930, something like that.
Yeah.
And so of course we've also heard that superchargers are going to be opened up to other vehicles, and we're hearing that Europe is going to be first, we believe.
Next month.
And China, of course, has been pushing, expanding their territory with superchargers across the country of China. So it just makes sense that, having another redundant supercharger building. Now we've got Buffalo, now we've got China. Again, getting that on 2 separate continents is a plus because of the redundancy, as Casey has mentioned. So that makes complete sense. The more that you've got, the better that you can handle. Oh, there's a nice little chart.
Yep. As of today, we're looking at. Go ahead.
Is it 29.28? Is that what it says?
29.28 as of September 8th.
Yep. So,
worldwide.
Interesting. And we see that little bump, bump that happened at the beginning of January. Does anyone know what that is? I know what that was from.
Was that from when Canada and the Eastern US opened up? Yeah.
That was the Trans-Canada Highway opening up coast to coast.
Yeah, because you guys opened up like a mess of them, and then we got like 3, 4, 5 over the East Coast all at once. It's like, where do these all come from?
All hiding in the Great White North. But
yes.
Yeah, that's cool. So 28, still growing. So that mess of new superchargers coming out of that factory are certainly going to be put to good use quickly. And Casey, what's going on in the country of India?
India. So they've got their superchargers coming in board and a bunch of other stuff. They're talking about getting their they've got a couple trims that have been approved. I'm sure I'm not going over earlier stories. Yeah, they've got a couple trims that are approved, and it's looking like they're making that progress. So after everybody got up from the table, and then they all cooled down and came back to their senses and came back to negotiate, it looks like they're finally getting some stuff ready to go for India, as promised.
So they're actually installing superchargers in India now to help with road tests. Is that what's going on?
That's right. And so that way they can they've already had a couple Model Ys and a couple Model 3s roaming the country for months now, but you're going to need to be able to charge there, and you're going to need to make sure that your superchargers can take the power, and you got to dial them in to make sure, because we see this all the time with third-party chargers where they're not as tuned as they could be, and that's not what Tesla's known for. So you got to make sure that stuff is ready before you bring in the customer cars. Right.
But with this article that came to us from Tesla Roddy, by the way, and by the way, if you're interested in any of these articles that go into more depth, you can see them in the show notes and click on the links that are provided. But what I was curious about is that this Tesla Roddy article didn't actually show a supercharger in India.
And they weren't sure if it was version 3 or version 2. Right.
My question would be, I wonder if are they just installing one at a location? Because there's no other Teslas in the country, really, besides ones that maybe were brought in by the black or the gray market. Yeah. But nobody has them. So I'm curious if they set up a supercharger and it's just one supercharger, and then they go out 250 miles and they place another supercharger. I'm wondering
they put it right on the other end of the Silk Road supercharger in China.
Yeah,
just so like that one in Russia and the one in Mexico, and then they slowly fill it in when we're not looking.
I will have to keep an eye on that and see if we get any photos as to whether or not. And our good friends over at supercharge.info, they haven't placed any pins in the map in India. So we'll have to see if I'm sure if one appears, they'll place it. So we'll have to keep our eye on that and see if a few pins start to show up in India. Excuse me. Well, outside of that, let's go back across the ocean to Fremont. And Fremont has apparently applied for some more building permits at the Fremont factory. And it relates to the sprung structures that are, of course, already in place. But it looks like they're asking for expansion for the Model Y line or lines as they decide that they're not producing enough. They need to produce more Model Ys in Fremont, and they're getting the approvals to either add on to those spring structures or increase capacity to allow them to do so. So this apparently was sent to Fremont City Council for approval, and this is the direction Tesla's going in. And again, this is not a big surprise. Model Y has caught on fire worldwide. Everybody wants a Model Y, and
not literally.
the poor ugly stepchild, the Model 3, has fallen to the wayside. That it's not wanted as it used to be. The Model Y is certainly the star of the show as it looks now, doesn't it?
Yeah. They're talking about was it last week or recently? They talked about making GA 4.5 permanent, which is the sprung structure, and they're wanting it to come up by 64,000 square feet. So significant.
Yep. So this again is part of that Model Y success. They're deciding that they're going to give some more production room, create some more production room to pump out more of these cars. So not a big surprise. We've been seeing, as the Model Y has been released in North America, US and Canada, it's quickly gone to the top of the charts. And as Fremont's been able to ship some, of course, elsewhere, it's been the star of the show, as China has been able to produce Model Ys and ship them to Europe. It's been the star of the show. So more production, more cars, more sales.
Yep. And then Omar brings up a good point on the previous story. If they add 10,000 superchargers per year, it'd take less than 3 years to double what we're looking at today.
That would be a lot of superchargers.
Well, we're going to need it if we're sharing it, though.
It is. Yep. Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct.
I wonder if any of the manufacturers will come. Yeah. I wonder if any of the manufacturers will come on board now that the customers can come to Tesla directly. Do they come in with their own agreement and say, kind of like how Volvo did with a better route planner and put them straight in the head unit? So they say, hey, here's all the superchargers, and we've already got your account. All you do is plug in like a Tesla does, and you're good to go. You don't need to mess with adapters. Or are they going to continue to pretend it doesn't exist? Yeah,
my guess on that is they're going to continue to pretend it doesn't exist. I don't see them changing. We are too far, I believe, down the road. I think they're going to stick with the J1772, and I don't think.
Yeah.
Although, if you were a manufacturer, and you're, maybe you're a medium-sized manufacturer, I would, or small, I would definitely approach Tesla to see if you could get their plug. I just think that it makes complete sense. But the bigger guys, don't think they're going to change at this point. I think they've made their road and they're going to follow it.
Well, I mean, I can see them sticking with the standard plug, but not pretending that the Gorilla doesn't exist.
Yeah, it's since all of them, really, no other manufacturer has really openly talked about creating their own charger network. You get people like Ford and such that say, "Oh, we're contributing," or you have the ability to.
We're leading the market.
The biggest charging network in North America. All they're doing is highlighting other people's chargers. They're not doing it themselves. So
I wonder then if they should spin off the Superchargers as a sub company or something, and they can just treat it like a charge point.
I hope they don't, because of course that's one of the great things about the Supercharger is, of course, the lower cost too.
Yeah.
With Elon indicating he doesn't want to make it a business, he wants it, of course, to break even and be able to grow as demand requires, but not necessarily charge over absorbent amounts for the electricity coming from them. So
yeah, it's true, because they'd be pushed to make a profit if they were separate.
That's right. And that, of course, leads me to another thought I've heard elsewhere, is that once Electrify America is done spending all their VW money that they have been receiving, where does maintenance go?
They sell the company.
Who's going to control it at that point? And if they do sell it, then guess what? The new owner is going to be looking to make a profit, and the prices are going up.
And they're already up because their whole charters, they had to cost more than the competitors.
That's right. So they weren't being subsidized by the sale of cars. They were they have to make it on their own. And of course, there is thought out there that with the VW money still coming in, the billions that had to be put into it, is that maybe they're really not covering the costs currently. Who knows? The price could go up just because, at this point, they're being subsidized by the VW settlement.
Yeah, because they can charge more and still be running at a loss, and still be in the letter of their punishment.
Yep, wow. Absolutely. Next story. It's the police blotter time. We always
Yes.
come across these stories, which is great to see. But another police department, this time in West Virginia, and I believe I've got a photo. I've just got to pull it here from our. I think I've got it. Let's share that video. Share. Boom. There it is.
There be.
We've got the West Virginia Nitro Police. I guess Nitro is a county? I don't think it's
I hope
a
it's
city.
a county, because if it's a chemical, then you don't need a nitro in this car.
So West Virginia is testing out a new Tesla Model 3 patrol vehicle. And you can see the lights on the front, and you can see them inside the windshield. So it's undercover car. So no light bar on the outside. Everything is contained inside the car. To be a police vehicle. So congratulations. Obviously, those first couple of Tesla patrol cars that shared their findings about maintenance and how much the cars actually cost to operate compared to, say, the Dodge Charger or other police vehicles like the Ford Explorer. Certainly is starting to pay off, because there are now many police departments across the country that have taken up trying the Model 3 as a police car.
And then Patrolman Hayes, he said he enjoys it. It's impressed him so far. So you can see that they'll be getting more.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, so that's the Tesla stories this week, but we've got an added bonus. Patrick, of course, who could not join us today.
Yeah.
He had the gall to send us a story and said, we need to cover this, even though he's not here. So we're going to cover it for Patrick. Casey's got a story about SpaceX. What's happening?
Yes. So next week, Inspiration 4, which is the first private mission to space, like real space in orbit, is launching on a previously used Crew Dragon.
And it's previously used, is it?
I thought it was, unless I'm mistaken.
Okay.
Definitely the rocket is previously used. And instead of the docking hardware to mount with the ISS, they're putting in a cupola. I'm sure I pronounced that wrong. But basically a dome so they can go out and look around and see.
A glass dome, right?
Yes. And they can they can sightsee in space, and it was done for charity, basically. Like it was a children's hospital that they were raising money for, and so it was for good cause. Yeah, flight proven, Omar.
So we've got 4 astronauts that are going to be in the vehicle. They're going for about is it 4 days or 3 days?
I believe it's 4 days. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they will be just lapping the Earth, just orbiting the Earth.
Yeah, so this will be the first free floating mission in quite some time as well. Oh, sorry, 3 days. Hockey says
3 days. Okay.
I wonder if maybe it's starting on one day and ending on another day, and it's 3 total days.
So, and this is launching from the Kennedy Space Center. This is launching from the famous Florida pad that they launched the Saturn V from. So
and Space Shuttle and
what's that? 39A, I believe it is.
39A. Yeah.
So they'll be launching, and that's a week from today.
A week from today. And then if you wanted to learn a little bit more about it, get your fix on it, Netflix is doing a special in collaboration with SpaceX and the team, so that you can kind of get a little amped for it before it happens.
Has that come out yet? Is that available on Netflix as of today, or no?
I if it's not yet today, then it's really soon. I saw a bunch of advertising in my Twitter thread for it, so I'll be checking on the screen after this.
Okay, so we'll have to make an announcement when we see it on our Netflix feed. Maybe we'll send a tweet out as well. So, exciting stuff. Only a week away, and I wonder.
Oh, Pregnant Trent says it is available on there now, and it's worth a watch.
Very good, Thank you. So it is there.
Yeah,
that's and is it? It's a few different episodes, I would assume, or is it a single episode?
I don't recall. But it was I think they said they were going to do more once they actually get up there. There'll be more. So it's going to be technically a series, even if there's only one video right now.
I can't imagine the number of cameras and drones that are crammed into that space capsule, because that's going to be news that everyone's going to want to watch. Being able to watch astronauts float around while orbiting the Earth, I'm sure. And the way that SpaceX is with recording their own launches and stuff, I'm sure there will be endless amount of film footage of what's going on in that vehicle at any time. Thanks, Hockey Day.
Hockey Day says his big brother in space who's going to get voted out of the capsule.
Yeah, it's a little more severe than the on Earth version. Exactly.
So we'll find out if the facilities are up to snuff. Because from what I understand, the current astronauts that have gone to ISS, one, they're already professionals, and two, they tend to make it to the ISS pretty quick. So. I do believe that one of them was being interviewed, and they said that basically it's going to be basically the equivalent of packed lunches or rations, rather than trying to cook anything on board like you'd find with the ISS with the hot water pump or anything like that.
Yeah. Makes sense, because they're only up there for a few days, so you wouldn't want anything
space is limited
going on. Yeah, definitely. Space is limited. But no, that's going to be fun to watch a week from today. So put that on the radar and keep an eye out for that. And with that, I think we'll wrap up this evening. If you haven't already, please give us a thumbs up at this point. Also, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. That helps us out. Both of those actions help us out. And we would appreciate the support for the channel. Also, if you want, you can follow us throughout the week on breaking stories on our Twitter feed at The Tesla Life, as well as on our Facebook feed, The Tesla Life #1. And you can follow us on those two social media platforms all throughout the week. With that, Casey, any shout-outs for us at the end of the program?
Certainly. So if you like this kind of content, I've got one that's a little more whole industry on Sundays with our friend Omar and a couple other folks that come in and out throughout the show. And you can find that at youtube.com/CaseyGreen. And then at some point, I'm going to go to the couch over there and get the cameras and download the footage and get this software update done before Tesla sends me another update.
You know the update's coming, Casey. Time is ticking. You better get going.
I bet you as soon as I plug the camera in, they're going to say, "Hey, update."
Well, hopefully you can get that on there before that update rolls out. So
yes. I'll definitely need to get something out before the button.
Okay. All right. Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
Well, with that, I think we'll wrap it up. Thanks very much for watching. We appreciate it. And join us next week and find out what's going on in the Tesla life.
Absolutely.
And there's the end music. Thank you, Lee Moon. Appreciate it. Good night, everybody.
Catch you next time.
And we will see you next week.